I think confidence is such a big topic that I'm tackling recently, right? Because a lot of people who have approached me recently, one of the biggest issues is, hey, I feel like I can't sing with confidence, or I feel like I'm not confident with my voice. And whether that be maybe because they've been judged before, maybe they feel like their voice is unreliable. There are many ways you can start tackling it, and I just want to make sure that you all know that you're not alone. I know for a lot of you out there, right, the idea of singing is really fun. So we like singing, we like being out there, we like making music, but there's always this kind of feeling of I'm not good enough, or I don't have the confidence to sing in front of people. I'm not confident with my voice. And so I wanted to jump in today and actually share maybe three little ideas that can help you push past this, because confidence is a real thing. Like being confident with a skill is being confident with your music and your singing is something real that we have to deal with, right? Yes, we're not tackling technique or whatnot, but this is something that can really change your voice. And I actually said confidence and vulnerability because I really do think that those two are quite tied together. And so, very first of all, I really want to just remind a lot of you out there, you are not alone. You are not alone in the sense that learning to feel confident and maybe sometimes not feeling confident is something we all go through, including myself. Because I'm not gonna lie, like when I was kind of approaching this song Always by Keshi, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't practiced it as well as I should have. And so there was a bit of a doubt in myself, right? And so there were moments where I felt like, oh, I really don't feel like I was as confident as I should have been. But I didn't let that stop me. And so what I would really encourage you all is it's okay it's okay to feel unconfident at times, right? There are moments where you're just not going to feel your best, or you don't feel like your voice is behaving the way you'd like it to. Or maybe when you have to kind of sing in front of a friend, in front of a family, or all of a sudden that kind of feeling of confidence, lack of confidence kind of hits you. And so I want to let you know you are not alone. So you're not alone in that. And this actually kind of brings me to point number two. I would say confidence is it's I think a lot of people perceive confidence as kind of you're kind of obviously like great posture, you're very loud, very strong, but I kind of really see confidence as a slightly different thing. So the way I kind of perceive confidence is, yes, we do have that fear, the fear of not doing well enough, the fear that our voice just isn't ready, the fear that maybe someone else might judge us. But I think true confidence comes from a point where, even though you know that those things are happening, you still put yourself out there. You still take that extra step and you still be courageous, right? Because those are the things that are going to really, really kind of take your voice to the next level. Now, for example, so one thing that I do for a lot of people who are looking to take their voice to the next level is I do free consultations for them, right? Initially, just to kind of get the ball rolling. And for a lot of people in these consultations, probably this is probably one of their first times going and meeting someone about singing, right? Kind of putting themselves out there, right? And so I think the message here, right, is I think with these kind of consultations, during these consultations, there's going to be moments where you feel more vulnerable. Because, for example, one of the things I'd encourage for these kind of first time consultations is have a bit of singing happening, right? And and sometimes, right, it can feel very, very kind of vulnerable. Like all of a sudden you have to put yourself out there, right, in front of this person who you might have just met, which is me, right, in this consultation. And so I would say, um, I'm, no, no. So I would say, like with these kind of consultations, you're going to feel those moments of vulnerability. But I think the most important thing is know that you're not alone, right? Because I've had plenty of students that have come through, done these consultations. And I think the ones who are willing to take that step forward for themselves, for their own voices, are the ones who feel so relieved. Similar to how, like, I think one way to think about it is if you've ever done a speech before, those moments leading up to a speech is always going to feel nerve-wracking. You're always going to feel like you're not good enough. You're always going to feel like I'm not so confident, right? But it's really by taking that action, just going for it anyway, just going for it. And knowing that you're not alone, you're not the only person who is doing this. There are other people who have gone through the same pathway, right? And I think let that be the fuel that encourages you to go for it. Because once you take that first step, you feel so relieved, right? Imagine that feeling after going for a speech after you've done a speech, right? It just feels so good. I know you still might be a bit shaken, but that feeling of accomplishment and putting yourself out there is powerful. So powerful. So for those who have just joined us, at the moment I'm talking a bit about confidence and vulnerability because I think that's such a big part of us as singers, right? Because learning to put your voice out there and sing is really something that requires you to expose yourself a bit more, expose yourself, and so it's very it can be very tricky to kind of navigate. And so if you have any questions about confidence or vulnerability, pop them in the chat, right? I've got a little device here that will have or will capture all your messages, and I'd love to kind of go through and answer some of your questions. So my third point, right? So I think the first 2 points we've talked about, which is number one, you are not alone, right? Vulnerability and lack of confidence is something we all face as singers, especially when you're first starting off. But what I would encourage you is that confidence or true confidence is less about just being egotistical or just saying, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. It's less about that, right? But it's more about knowing that there is going to be fear of judgment, knowing that at the moment, right, there might be a lot of things we could do with your voice, right? But then taking that and using it as fuel and taking that next step, whether it be chatting with me one-on-one or maybe be singing in front of your friends, right? Singing in front of your family. It's about taking all those kind of fears, translating them to a fuel, and then using that to take your next step. So finally, the last final step I would love to encourage you all is, I think with confidence, right, there is an element of this. So you got to get your mindset right, which is, yes, there's going to be fears and all this, but you need to be able to kind of push forward, right? Take that courage, take that step, right? The second thing is also, I'm also a big believer that competence breeds confidence. So essentially, the better you are at with your voice, the more you understand how the voice system actually works, the more confident you'll be able to go and then sing. Because one of the things that does make singers less confident is the fact that they don't have control of their voice entirely yet. Sometimes their voice might react a certain way on a particular day. Sometimes they might react a bit better, right? And that inconsistency might make them feel like, oh man, some days I just have it. So when they do kind of have to perform and they're on a day that they don't feel good about themselves, that's going to hold them back when they're singing. And so there is an element of, let's kind of get deeper with your craft, right? Let's understand what's happening with your body, what's happening with your vocal folds, what's happening with your vocal track. Can we get them to work a bit better, build some new habits, so that all of a sudden when you go and sing, you know you have the habits to fall back on. And so those are the three ideas, because